Hey everybody, this is an update on the exorcism house and some other weird things that have happened to me ever since. I went back to the house that I had assisted with removing all those dark energies, and it was cleaned up. There was a lot of like physical cleanup, and the energy was definitely lighter. There still was heaviness, and there was a couple pockets of density, but other than that, it was much better than it was before. But the thing is that I was feeling very, very off for quite a few days before going there. And it started, gosh, I think last week. I wasn't feeling well in my health. I wasn't feeling well. I was just off. I was just off. And I went to go see that house. And then I had a very violent dream. And I'm not used to having violent dreams. Like, I'm just not. And I woke up like my ex-husband was in the dream. My ex-boyfriend was present, but not really a part of it. But my ex-husband was really in there. We were still married. But then I have recurrent dreams about people invading my property and me having to chase people or defend my property. And this dream was me defending my property, and I was going to my ex and I was like, get your gun, get your gun. And he was being a wuss, and he came over with this other woman, and I'm worried about protecting my property, and I'm looking for a knife, and I'm looking through all these knives, and they were weird and they weren't pointy, but I found one, and I was holding onto this knife, and I was like, are you having an affair on me? And then he admits to having an affair. And I was just enraged. I was just enraged. And I woke up and my hand was like this. I was trying to talk and I couldn't talk. So for me, that was a very violent dream. And I just felt the ickiness and the heaviness. And this was still kind of, overnight, like maybe around 12:30, 1:30 in the morning. So I still had the rest of the night to sleep. And I did my prayers, and I have a sovereignty prayer that I recorded for a client, which I need to release to everybody. And I was listening to that. I managed to fall asleep, but it was Monday morning, and I was so heavy. And I reached out to a couple of my friends, and one of them told me, are you processing what happened in Venezuela? Now, my ex-husband is from Venezuela, and so when the earthquakes happened, I immediately thought to my mother-in-law, who still lives there, and I was like, fuck, is she dead? Did she die? So I've been really heavy with that. On top of everything else, I know that I'm feeling the solar influx. And anyway, she gave me the advice, because when I'm feeling in things, I don't think. Like I'm in panic or survival mode, I can't really think straight. So she was like, call in Saint Germain and the violet flame. And when she gave me that, my body started to shake, and I was like, okay, I got to do it right now. So I hung up with her and I went into meditation. I pulled down the violet flame. I encompassed it around all of the people in my dream, my ex-husband, my ex-boyfriend. Then I went to the country Venezuela. And when I encompassed the violet flame over Venezuela, something very dark rose up. I started to grit my teeth. I started to growl. I started to stretch. And that's what happened to me at that property. I didn't mention that, but when I was processing through these demons, that's what happened. I start to growl. I start to move and contort, and my hands turn into claws, whatever. And then when that demon started to come up, I just lifted my head up and I drew down source light, and it just went, it just lifted. And it was a beautiful feeling, gorgeous feeling. Then I went and I crossed over all the souls that were trapped in the rubble. And crossing over souls is a big deal. Okay, we need to get those guys moved on. They don't need to stay in the lower fourth astral, because guess what? They get harvested. Okay, they get harvested. Their energy is also being harvested. So I moved those guys out, and I finally came to peace. I cleared my chakras again. I cleared them again. And it was like I could breathe again. And that heaviness, the density of that dream was no longer. And so I'm offering this up to you guys to think about. So when you're feeling especially deep, heavy energy, could you be processing a global event? Could you be processing something that is completely, not just not yours, because I'm not Venezuelan, but something within a familial tie, something else? So think about that when you're going through difficulty, and just also remember the violet flame of Saint Germain. What a powerful healing tool. And I don't often remember it, but I know I have channeled Saint Germain before. I have a dear friend who channels Asante Germain. And anyway, these are tools, people. These are tools that you can use in your everyday life to take control over your energy and to be the master of your own realm. Okay, hello again, everyone. Nice to see you. Talk to you soon.